the glory comes, it will be ours. It'll be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory. Oh, glory. The land where we stand has many stories. Cracked sidewalks, every line representing a lifetime. Every time I walk these streets, the pages, they come alive with bold characters and bright colors. The green cat and the orange line, where church windows make mosaic of God's light, shine on neighborhoods housing families of red and blue, and streets that are ran by gangsters who move in black and white. My story is a love letter I have scribbled in the sidewalk chalk beneath your feet. Illustrations that crawl through market creeks, climb emerald hills across valleys of paradise. I grew up in barrios near skylines and ocean views. I crossed campuses where lions and tigers prowl and hornets swarm the halls. An empire built on 9 kingdoms, and this imperial connection between it all. There is majesty in the southeast. Our streets are paved with diamonds, and they mines. Cuts me deep every time our folks outside give us the cold shoulder, then turn right around and blanket us with a bunch of lies. Keep us questioning our value, always under appraisal, constantly jumping through hoops, hoping to land someplace equal. I get weary over the state of the world we're living in. Most days I'm afraid and uncomfortable in my own skin, and lately it seems like the world is so full of villains. It's like we get rid of one and 2 more of them, they'll just fill in. Now my anxiety is on 10 from all my brother's killings, and I am running out of space to put my angry feelings. Like, man, can y'all just take a break? We need some space and time to hug each other, to cry a bit and maybe do a little healing. Intensing feelings and rage got me pacing work floors, and microaggressive racism ain't so passive no more. And white folks expect me just to take it all in stride, cause I ain't much more than animal. Who cares about my dignity or pride, right? Disrespect seems to grow by leaps and bounds, so we stretch our resilience, we extend more grace, we keep rearranging our crowns, and they keep trying to trump us, y'all. They keep trying to take us out. They selling composition books of freedom papers at the Walmart now. They want to lock us all behind bars, so we learn to chew them up and spit them out. Spit lightning bolts over drum beats that make the whole hood bounce. And listen, when y'all hear that thunder roll, you'll know exactly what just happened, cause Khalil just clicked the top of his pen and released the cracking. Yo, it's too many writers on our block to kill our story. God cast us in a reoccurring role, keeps us bouncing back in a blazing glory. And one day when the glory comes, you will see that it was always ours. Like how them folks light up the whole damn world with limited power. So go ahead, remove us from our homes, place us on campgrounds, keep editing the native from our tongues, keep trying to white us out, and we'll keep making graffiti a permanent marquee to the powers that be. You can close your eyes if you want, but you still gon' see me. Look, the Southeast is the taco shop that was built in the belly of the beast, and we feed our community. We make sure all our people eat, and I am full of a pride that I won't ever swallow down. The Southeast got soul, baby. Till I die, I'ma shout it out. Now the war isn't over, and the victory is done. We'll fight on to the finish, and before the work is done, we'll cry glory, glory, cry glory. We'll cry glory, glory, oh, glory. One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It'll be ours. Oh, one day. When the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure in what glory.
I think I, yes, yes, wonderful. Wow. Can you all hear me? Wow. Good morning and welcome, San Diego College of Continuing Education, partners, dignitaries, and community. Can you feel the energy in here? Woo! It is a very great privilege to be in this space with you this morning to honor you as we recognize the start of our academic year with an opportunity to start our fall semester with centering our why, cultivating culture, and recognizing how bright our future is. Khalil, our musician's song, helped us highlight how our college has evolved over the years. I also want to share, if you did not notice, that Khalil is from Southeast San Diego. He wrote the lyrics that he embedded in the famous song Glory titled Southeast Got Soul. Thank you both Khalil Blue and Imani King, our pianist performer. As we do each fall, we come together on this Convocation Day, which symbolizes so many things. For many, it is a symbol of a fresh start and all that a fresh start can bring to us as educators and to our students, symbolic of hope, of perseverance, of commitment, and of success. While Convocation is a ritual for our college, this year's Convocation is different. We are centering the work that we do on diversity, equity, inclusion, anti-racism, and accessibility. And with this, we made a conscious effort to support, with the support of our leadership, to close our campuses to allow all of our classified professionals the opportunity to participate in this year's Convocation. We cannot talk without walking the walk for our employees. Our classified professionals, just as our other employees, are a key part of the infrastructure of our fabric. There's no better way to do that than to continue the rich celebration of the arts and culture that has made the educational culture complex historic. The Civil Rights Hub is being restored to be the head of San Diego's Civil Rights Foundation. Today, you will see rich performances that capture the true essence of the community and cultural wealth this campus brings to our students and that our students bring to us. Today, we will reimagine our college and our entire community and look forward toward the future for what's to come, because at SDCCE, our future is bright. We have a full morning of presentations and performances for you. But first, we have remarks from many of the invaluable leaders in our community, in our district. Please join me in a warm welcome for the San Diego Community College District's Board of Trustees, President Dr. Maria Nieto Senor.
I can't really see you. Wow. It's good to be home. As many of you know, ECC has a very special place in my own life, and I used to teach right on the stage for a few years. And therefore, I am so pleased to be here and to represent our Board of Trustees. With me is Heisila Arroyo, our newest board member, who's doing a fabulous job. As some of you know, I've served on this board for 32 years, and therefore, I do have a unique perspective. I've seen our district encounter good times and difficult times, but through all of these periods, there has always been a constant source of excellence the faculty and the classified professionals, the people who actually make the primary difference in student learning. All our board members recognize the importance of the faculty and classified professionals in making the College of Continuing Education one of the most excellent institutions in California and the nation. As a former faculty member myself, I know how much goes into preparing for classes, teaching, counseling students, evaluating papers, grading, writing curricula, participating in committees, meeting with students outside the classroom, which is vital, as you know, and you do. One of the things I love about the work that you do is that you do care for the students enough to meet with them outside of class. You also serve as club advisors, being active in your academic field, and making all of this fit within the boundaries of a semester. Your work is commendable, and your spirit of innovation has kept our entire district on the cutting edge of academic excellence. And our classified professionals are those who make our work possible as faculty. And I know that it's so important that we recognize that these are the people who our students interact with first and who have a lot to do with whether students feel welcome or not on our campuses. Thank you for what you do. As we begin another year, we continue to face challenges, including the COVID-19 pandemic, which has disproportionately impacted many of our students in continuing education. I appreciate the resilience and flexibility you all have demonstrated. Your efforts are helping us to ensure that all students have access to a quality education. Please continue to do the wonderful work you do and let us know about your issues and recommendations. As you know, we always appreciate it when you come to speak with us at our campus meeting that we'll hold here, as we do every year, and we have a half hour where you can come and meet with board members, and I hope that you take the time to come and talk with us. Again, thank you for everything you do, and welcome to the new academic year.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nieto Senor. Now please help me welcome our Chancellor, Dr. Carlos Cortez.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Gosh, it feels nice to be back. But you're right, I can't see anything either, so something's happening in this theater and it's magical. And what I'm most excited about is I hear we're gonna get some aisles in the future so we don't have to hop over each other. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm beyond excited for the future of this institution. As you can all imagine, it was difficult for me to leave the College of Continuing Education without knowing what was coming next. And I'm just so confident in your president. And looking at this stage, this is the best this stage has looked in the 7 years I've been affiliated with the district. So let's give Tina King a round of applause. The energy is indeed palpable. When I applied for this position, for the position of Chancellor last year, I, in my forums, presented what I call the 10-point plan. These were 10 areas that I would focus my efforts on if the Board of Trustees in this community trusted me to be the next CEO of the district. And I thought, as I'm coming to the close of my first year, that it would be wise of me to come back and give an update on the progress that we've made on these 10 goals. The first of those goals was to shift our discourse from equity to inclusion. You know, equity means that we are trying to create opportunities to ensure that everybody has a fair shot, an equal chance at reaching the end objective. But inclusion means that people have a seat at the table. It reminded me of Shirley Chisholm. When they don't have a chair, we bring our own. And I'm very thrilled to see that our district, and frankly the state system, have now embraced language of inclusion as the real end objective of the work that we're trying to accomplish here. Second, I promised that we would investigate ways to reimagine college policing. And over the past year, the ad hoc task force that was created under my predecessor has become a permanent standing police advisory committee, and they've already made significant strides to address the issue of policing in our community. The first step they took was to purchase tasers, which allows our local police force, like every other police force in the county of San Diego, to have less lethal weaponry in the event that they do have to use weapons. And many people are not aware. Just last week, we had a police officer at City College who approached some transients who had lit a fire, and one of them threw a lit pine cone at the officer that put the officer in jail. And that's just one of dozens of officers I've seen get hurt on the job protecting the students and the employees who work in our district. But we also know that the first response to a person in crisis doesn't necessarily mean arrest or detention. And so starting this fall, we're in the process of hiring mental health professionals who will be deployed with our police force to assist them so that we can provide alternative responses when our police need to be deployed. And we're going to continue the work of the police committee, and I hope those of you who are interested in this work do get involved. Third, which applies mostly to the credit colleges, but I think there's also opportunities now for continuing education, thanks to your new VPSS, Shakira Carter. How's Shakira doing? Let's give her a round of applause. To increase concurrent enrollment programs. High school students taking community college courses has been a significant source of growth and enrollment for our district, but also an excellent opportunity for high school students to make progress towards certificate and degree completion and to earn units before they enroll in post-secondary study after their high school experience is over. And I'm excited to see that the College of Continuing Education is building bridges between high schools locally, the wonderful work being done between our CTE programs and our high school diploma and equivalency program to ensure that we're creating seamless pathways for high school students to come into the College of Continuing Education is critical to the future of the work that you do here. Fourth, I promised that we would explore housing. And I'm thrilled to announce that to date, the district has received 4 grants to explore and plan housing for the district. The first was an SB1 grant secured by City College. They're going to replace their former Child Development Center with nearly 400 units of low-income housing for both students and employees. Right here at ECC, we're looking at a possible housing project. We've also received funding from the Lucky Duck Foundation, the San Diego Foundation, and Funders Together to End Homelessness. And in the next couple of months, we're going to be holding a public study meeting, and from that point, announcing a strategic plan around housing development. The city of San Diego needs to build about 100,000 units in the next 10 years to address the housing crisis. And one advantage that we have is between the 7 campuses of the College of Continuing Education and the 3 credit colleges, we have land, valuable land and other assets, and we also have significant need. Thank you. I'm also thrilled to announce that we composed legislation, AB 1719, that's been carried by Assemblymember Ward. This would allow for the first time community colleges to access federal low-income housing tax credits to build low-income housing for low-income employees. We know we have cafeteria workers and groundskeepers, even adjunct faculty who are trying to put salary together in order to survive and live and thrive in our community in San Diego. And as of yesterday, AB 1719 has moved from the Senate to the governor's desk for signatures. Let's give that a round of applause. Fifth, of which I'm extremely excited, was my commitment to continue to build out pathways between non-credit and credit. We all know, as a community, we've been trying to take down the walls within our own ecosystem here to ensure that students can seamlessly transition from our non-credit division, the College of Continuing Education, into our 3 credit colleges. And we've made significant strides between articulation agreements and credit by exam and college days and San Diego Promise. But probably most exciting is work that's been led by your Vice President of Instruction, the wonderful Dr. Fishdahl. And efforts that she's taken in the last couple of years, specifically with the Association of Community College Trustees Non-Credit to Credit Alignment Lab, which has provided funding, thank you, special funding to our district and specifically to the College of Continuing Education to work on building out those pathways. Sixth, I promised that we would explore the expansion of our four-year degrees. We have one baccalaureate degree as part of the first 15 baccalaureate programs that were authorized by the state of California that's hosted at Mesa College. But right now, all three of our credit colleges are exploring additional baccalaureate degrees, including an automotive pathway at Miramar College and cybersecurity at City College, which suggests to me they should be starting in continuing education in our cybersecurity and auto programs and making their way through that guided pathway. Seventh, I promised that we would raise more money through development and entrepreneurship, and I have to tell you, coming into my job the first month and landing a $35 million grant to renovate this theater, that I say the largest grant of any community college in the history of California was earned by the little engine that could, the College of Continuing Education. And I am so excited for the wonderful work that Dr. Lori Koski and your foundation, Neil Kovrig, your foundation executive director, and our fabulous Vice President of Administrative Services, Jacqueline Sabanos, are leading to ensure that the golden age of continuing education, which you saw in many of our images that occurred during the late 80s and early 90s, has since passed. But with this new theater, with a new community room, with a new lobby and new restrooms, I am confident that we're ushering in the platinum age of the College of Continuing Education. Yeah, come on. I feel like I'm on a television set up here anyways, right? I think we need an applause sign. Eighth, I promise, and by the way, and that's just the beginning. We're just scratching the surface. The district just got approved personnel that were with restricted funding to hire fundraisers at the district level. The College of Continuing Education, when I arrived, was bringing in a couple $1 million a year. Last year, they brought in over $40 million. And I'm confident in 10 years, we're going to be bringing in $100 million per year. That helps us to do all the extras that we want to do to support our students, to support our employees, and to support the larger community. That work is just beginning. Eighth, a couple of years ago, if you recall, the College of Continuing Education was awarded the Entrepreneurial College of the Year by the National Association for Community College Entrepreneurship. And that's thanks to many people, but especially to the folks who spearheaded our very cutting-edge entrepreneurial certificate programs. Matthew Rivaldi, Aaron Ifland, under the leadership of Dr. Michelle Gray and others here at the institution, have set our district aside when it comes to entrepreneurial education, and we're going to continue to advance this work. All four of our colleges are doing outstanding work now in the area of entrepreneurial education. What many people don't realize is, if you go back to the work of Joan Anion, a socialist scholar, sociologist who studied from a socialist framework and looked at education in Connecticut in the early 80s, what she showed was that what they teach in inner city, low-income schools is rote medial skills. They train and prepare people to be factory workers. And what they teach in Westport and Greenwich, where the children of CEOs on Wall Street study, is entrepreneurship. And that training begins from kindergarten, where they encourage students to color outside the lines, to take risks, to think bold. And here in this community, those are the types of skills that we want to be engendering in our students. We want to encourage our students to think bold, to color outside the lines, to take risks, so they can go beyond what society has predicted as their outcome in life. Number 9, I promised that we were going to develop robust programming online. And I have to tell you, when the pandemic hit, everyone was terrified. Every college in the state didn't know how to approach this new crisis. But the College of Continuing Education was uniquely positioned because of ICOM Academy and the wonderful work that the faculty in this room and the classified professionals have done to build the first and only fully online college in adult education accredited in the state of California. Congratulations to you all. And last I checked, half of your certificates are now available 100% online. And that is an unbelievable feat when you consider when I arrived here in 2015, less than 1% of our courses were offered online. So great work, everyone. Keep it up. Last, I promised that we would focus on enhancing the district's facilities and technology. I'm excited to, of course, report that work has begun at the College of Continuing Education with a significant grant this past year to renovate this theater, but we are now moving into a 2024 bond campaign where we hope to raise several $1 billion so that we can finish the renovation project at ECC. I'm hoping give City Heights, Mid-City Campus a facelift, and many of the other projects that you all delineated in your facilities master plan. That plan is the foundation for our next bond campaign, but we're going to need all your help to get that over the finish line. So please stand by as we begin that preparation. As I conclude my remarks, what is not part of my 10-point plan is just to share that the district recently approved a reorganization. Now, this won't directly impact many of you, but as we did here when I was at the College of Continuing Education, as I'm sure Tina will probably do in the next couple of years, as your vice presidents have also initiated in their respective areas, when new leadership comes in, it gives opportunities to think how we can operate more efficiently, more productively, more effectively. And for those that don't know, as Bonnie Dowd plans to retire in the next couple months, the longest-serving vice chancellor will be Greg Smith, who started less than 2 years ago. And so we've had significant turnover, not only here in the College of Continuing Education, but really system-wide, largely generationally. Remember, our colleges were built in the 1970s, and folks who come to work with us stay with us. And so as they've begun to retire, we see new life coming in. I think 105 of the 130 contracts here at the College of Continuing Education were hired in the last 5 or 6 years. So this is a new college with new ideas, new breath, new energy, and the same is true of the district, and that gives us opportunities to reimagine how we operationalize the functions of the district to ensure that we can better support you. And so to that end, Vice Chancellor Greg Smith will be holding a Zoom webinar in the next week or two. So please look out for that announcement if you're interested in learning more about that reorganization. But again, the purpose and the intent, of course, is to better support you. So typically when we visit convocations, the 3 credit colleges are on the same day. So we come in and out and we quickly make our remarks and then we part. But I'm really excited that I'm going to be able to participate in this program. And all I have to say is, Tina, you're a bit of a show-off. I called her last night at 8 o'clock and said, you know, Tina, my first convocation, I was so nervous, I could barely sleep. And she didn't say she was nervous and could barely sleep. She didn't tell me she was still here. And clearly she wasn't nervous at all because a lot of thought and a lot of energy and a lot of deliberation clearly went into just setting the stage. I can just imagine what the rest of our program is going to look like. Thank you all for being here. Before I close, I do want to give a shout out to your outstanding academic Senate President, John Broma, and your classified professional President, Neil Kovrig, and thank them, as well as my colleague in the union, my partner in crime, Jim Mailer, and everyone who supports and works in Chancellor's Cabinet, especially my very own Margaret Lamb, who's with us in the audience. Thank you all for what you do. I hope you have a wonderful fall semester, and I'm looking forward to spending the rest of the day here with you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cortez. It's always an honor to have you, and you're always welcome back. Well, next, I'd like to introduce our AFT President, Mr. Jim Mailer.
Thank you, Dr. King. It's so great to be back and great to see you all in person. Yay! And I'm so happy that I did not have to directly follow Khalil. So that was a great performance, right? That was amazing. So I know what you're wanting to hear most from me is, what about money? So this is a good money year, peoples. That's looking good. So we're getting a pretty good COLA from the state, 6.56%. That's the best COLA we've had in quite some time. Yep, we can give it up for that. Hopefully, help us try to keep pace with inflation. I know it's still difficult to do that, but 6.56% isn't so bad. So we'll make some progress there. Also, not to get too into the weeds, but most of you are aware we're still under the student-centered funding formula, which now comes in 3 flavors. The flavor that we're under this year is the emergency condition hold harmless iteration of it, so which basically means, in a nutshell, they use our FTES values from 2019 and 20 to crank through the formula and spit out how much money we get for this year, which is a good thing because in 2019-20 our enrollments were much better than they are now, and so that's going to give us a little bit of additional revenue for this year to spend as well, so that's a good thing. The downside is it's just for this year, and we'll have to regroup and see what comes next year down the pike. But that's a good thing, and the other good news I have to bring to everybody is the $200 million that we secured in the state budget for adjunct healthcare reimbursement. That's also huge. Yeah, we should give it up for that for sure. So our district has the best healthcare program for adjunct faculty statewide. There's no doubt about that, which costs the district between $8.5 and $9 million a year. Prior to getting the $200 million, the statewide fund was only $490,000 for the entire state. So for those of you that are math impaired, we increased that by 408 times, right? I mean, that's a huge increase from 490,000 to 200 million. So what that's going to mean to this district is instead of us getting 37 cents back for what we expended, we're going to get at least half of the 9 million, if not all of the 9 million, reimbursed to us in this coming year. So that's great news for us on the revenue side. And that's all thanks to CFT. That's all CFT lobbying that got that to happen. On the downside, we also have expenses that we do have to cover as well. So our healthcare costs, there's never been a year that healthcare costs have gone down. This year is no exception. So in January, those costs will go up about 6% or so. We're still waiting to get the final numbers, but that's what it looks like it's going to be in the neighborhood of. Also, CalPERS and CalSTRS continues to increase their rates, and those increases that the district will have to fund will be in the neighborhood of between 11 and 13%. So that's a pretty significant hit as well on our expense side. So all told, we'll have some good revenue coming in, we'll have some decent expenses we have to cover in addition to step and column, et cetera. But you all are aware that we have a resource allocation formula, and when we get later in the fall semester, once we've closed the books on last fiscal year and get a better handle on exactly what the revenue stream is looking like, we'll be able to come back to you all and say, okay, here's what the money is looking like, and see what we can do effective January 1 to make sure that we get some of that money into your pockets. So stay tuned for that. I'm confident it will be good news. It maybe not be 6 or 7%, but somewhere in that neighborhood, hopefully we can get to that point and give everyone a good raise this year. So look forward to that. Also, you probably are aware, if you haven't heard, this is an election year, right? Has anyone heard of Prop 27? Just wondering if you've seen 4,000 TV ads on it or not. That's not what I wanted to talk about, though, but just to call your attention that it is going to be an election year in November. We're fortunate that our 3 trustees from the San Diego district that are up for re-election this year, Trustee Senior, Trustee Arroyo, and Trustee Milgram, don't have opposition, so we are super fortunate for that. Because they are truly great. They are 3 of the 5 great trustees that we have who appointed the great chancellor and appointed the great president that you now have for College of Continuing Education. So those things don't happen by chance. If we didn't have a great board, we wouldn't have the great leadership that we do have in the district. So understand that those things all matter, right? Who we elect on the board matters, who we get as a chancellor matters, who we get as the presidents, vice presidents, et cetera. And that's why we have a great team leading the district right now. So we are, I get around the state and see other locals and see how they're doing in other areas. We are very fortunate in this district with the leadership team that we have. We have one of the best leadership teams, if not the best leadership team in the state here in the San Diego Community College District. So we should be very grateful for that. So we can give it up for that. So the other challenge that we have ahead of us is, the pandemic was tough on everybody. It was tough on our students. It was tough on our employees. And now we have the challenge of trying to rebuild our community and get back to the community that we had before the pandemic hit. So that rebuilding our community theme is what I really want everyone to focus on this semester. We all have a part in that. We all have a hand in that. We all need to do our part to get us back to that feeling of community. that we felt prior to the pandemic. And that's really our strength in this district, is the strong sense of community we do have among all of ourselves. So we can all do our little piece to make that happen. And what does that mean? Well, it's an election year, so what can you do? You can make sure everyone's registered to vote and make sure that everyone votes. Because if we have a good turnout, good things will happen. If we have a really low turnout, bad things could happen. We don't want that to happen. So everyone has a chance to reach out to your students, your neighbors, your family members, your colleagues. Make sure everyone's registered. Make sure they all vote. The other thing is, let's really work hard to make in-person learning something that students want to come back to, right? So that means you may have to go out of your way and reach out a little bit more and work a little bit harder to make your in-person classes go. I get that, people are kind of used to being in their home, in their pajamas and doing all their stuff through Zoom. I get it, but we have to break out of that comfort zone and be willing to do more things in person at our sites, as well as we need to challenge our administrators to let the in-person classes run that have lower enrollments so that we can start to build back that base. So I know the administrators don't like to hear me say that, but that's what we're going to have happen. I mean, we're still under hold harmless. The revenue isn't going to change this year. I understand we have to build for the future, but part of building for the future is getting in-person enrollments back and building that in-person base, because we're not going to be able to do it all online. I understand that we've made great gains in that area, but if we're going to really build back, we're down 35% to where we were before the pandemic. It's not going to happen unless we can increase our numbers in person, so we really need to work on that. The other thing to point out, in those areas where we have strong community, strong union density, if you look throughout the nation, where we've made good gains is in the areas where we have strong union density. So another way that you can help us rebuild our community is if you know of people in your area who have been newly hired, who haven't had a chance to join the union yet, please help us and get them to sign up or alert us that they're in your area, because you will know much sooner than us who your new hires are. We don't necessarily know immediately who all the new hires are. It takes some time. So that's part of your all role to keep our union strong, is to help us sign up the new members and get them involved in the union. And then we can do great things. For example, student loan debt forgiveness. We've done a great job on that. I had a faculty member come up at City College and tell me, I don't know how she got herself in this situation, but that's a story for another day. She had $250,000 in debt relieved, forgiven. That's crazy, right? But I've heard a lot of other people, $60,000, $90,000, not uncommon. And that happened because of our work at the national level with the Biden administration, and then also we have that summer program it's called Summer, I don't know why they chose that name, but that's the name of the program. If you're an AFT member, it literally walks you through the entire process, and you'll have your student debt relieved as well, as long as you meet the qualifying criteria. So we can do a lot. We can advance this agenda as long as we're strong, as long as we stick together, and as long as we have a strong sense of community. So I'm so happy to see you all back. Tomorrow, we timed it perfectly to have our first union meeting of the year outside when the temperature will be a balmy 100 degrees or so. So we will see you all back hopefully tomorrow outside in the ECC patio for our first AFT meeting with lunch. Have a great semester. Hopefully to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mailer. It's always an inspiration to have you. Now, please help me welcome your academic and our academic Senate President, Mr. John Broma.
I'd like to welcome everyone back to the Fall 2022 convocation. Thanks to Dr. King, Chancellor Cortez, our Board of Trustees, but mostly thanks to you for showing up. We are back. It's been almost 3 years. I won't subject you to a reiteration of all the trials and tribulations we've all endured. You know them. It's been a stressful time, a fearful time. Fear for our health, our family, our community, our jobs, the list goes on. So I will ask you today, what is the opposite of fear? Some will tell you it's courage. Maybe so. But I like to think the opposite of fear is love. I know you're thinking, what? What is John talking about? I think we counter fear with love. The love of our community, the love of our profession, and the love for our students. When we encounter the strangeness and the weirdness of this coming year, and it will be a doozy, when we aren't sure what to do and the uncertainty begins to grow, remember, love counters fear. Do that, and the College of Continuing Education will be stronger and better than before the pandemic. In the land of my ancestors, my favorite Highland clan, Clan MacLeod, has a motto: hold fast. Hold fast, and we will succeed this year. On a personal note, this is my last convocation as the president of the Academic Senate. It did not turn out exactly as I was expecting it, but it has been a career high, and I only hope that somehow, in some minor way, with a word or a deed or an action, I have made some small positive difference for as many of you as I could. I wish you the best this year and success for you and all your students.
Thank you so much, John. I'm looking forward to working alongside you in the Senate this year, and thank you for being an example of leading with love. Now, next, please help me welcome your classified Senate President, Mr. Neil Kovrig.
Good morning, everyone. Wow. It's not often that we get to see this theater as full and as alive as it has been this morning. And on behalf of the classified professionals of the College of Continuing Education, who are here today with you all, it is such a joy and an honor and a privilege to be able to welcome this new academic year, this fall semester, and as they say in Hawaiian, a he liao, a new era, a new dawn, a new change for our institution, for our district, and I dare say for our community as well. Your classified professionals are steadfast in their belief and their understanding of what our position is within this community of learning and of love. Our job is to help support one another, to support our students in their experience, to support our faculty in the work that they do to bring education and light to the world, to support our administration in bringing knowledge and truth to the communities that we serve. Classified professionals are very much focused on the bright future that exists as we go forward into this new era. I'm very pleased to be able to be a part of this event in a much deeper and more meaningful way than I think we've ever been able to be a part of it before. By having classified professionals present throughout today's events, by having a special focused workshop for us this afternoon, which will absolutely demonstrate the impact of what classified professionalism is, to have a workshop this Friday that I hope newer faculty especially will join us at 2:30 for a experience of what classified professionals do on a daily basis to help support you in all of your work as faculty. But moreover, the work that we do together throughout the coming year will certainly be something that I know that I will be looked back upon as being the highlight of my time as your classified Senate President, which might seem like it's been forever. It will not be forever. I keep saying that, and I mean it, eventually. But it is a privilege of mine to be able to support the classified professionals of this institution and to support each and every one of you. As we go forward into this new era and this new day, I look forward to welcoming each of our new students as they join us on campus this coming week, and to supporting all of the wonderful things that we do together as the College of Continuing Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. It will indeed be an exciting year supporting our classified professionals. Next, for our next speaker, I think you all are going to want to stand up. Please help me welcome SDCCE's first ever student member of the Board of Trustees, Mrs. Julia Kogan.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Some years ago, I moved from Ukraine in this country, in the United States. I fell in love in this city. I fell in love in people. I fell in love in this country. And I was like white paper because everything around me was new. New law, new culture, new people, new language. And can you imagine who helped me to understand my next step, my future? It's College of Continuing Education. I taken classes, English like second languages. I found my first teachers, my first friends from different countries, my first support, my first education, and I feel support for everybody of you. I'm so thank you so much for this opportunity to be part of this big community. Now I understand what this means, the future is bright. I know what my future is exactly bright because I participate in the ASB team. Now I am in the first position, student trustee of College of Continuing Education. So I am so happy and I'm so proud to be part of this team. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. It's such an honor to have you here with us, celebrating Convocation as your first official event, providing remarks as trustees. Now it's important to take a moment to acknowledge the land we occupy together as a community. I'm going to ask that we grace our stage again, our president, Neil Kovrig.
Please join me in a spirit of openness and honesty. The San Diego Community College District and its 4 colleges acknowledge that we gather on unceded Kumeyaay land. We value indigenous knowledge and cultural worldview. We commit to providing transformative educational experiences for all campus members and guests as we examine practices that perpetuate harm against indigenous, Black, brown, and other marginalized communities. We pledge to sustain a meaningful and respectful relationship with the Kumeyaay and other indigenous communities as we honor this beautiful land together.
All right, thank you so much, Neil. That was beautiful. Give me 1 second. All right. Well, thank you all so much. Many of you may recall that when I first introduced myself to you as president, I explained that I've dedicated my 20-year career in education to social justice and to serving students. My work in public education, and specifically in non-credit and adult education instruction, has been intentional. During the first 2 months as president, I've already met so many students in the skilled trades programs here at ECC, and students in the healthcare programs at Cesar Chavez. I had the opportunity to meet our student trustee, and now you have also heard from her this morning. Ms. Kogan has such an inspiring story about her journey as an immigrant to this country and how she is thriving through the opportunities and education that you all provide. I have been encouraged and inspired by Ms. Kogan and many other students. Our students truly are our why. I am personally committed to continuing the legacy of this great college and to adult education, focusing on teaching and learning and removing barriers that our students face to ensure that we do our very best to support every student's needs. I want to again promise to you on my word that I shared during my interview process. You can count on me to professionally and sincerely represent this incredible college with only the best intentions. This year, we are implementing our 7-year strategic plan that will be presented at our upcoming board meeting. You all have been developing the strategic plan for the past year. You all have been developing this plan alongside with Dean Lukey and her research team, and I'd like to say thank you for all of your hard work, Dean Lukey. There was so much good work and inspiration in that plan that I knew I needed to pinpoint some areas that we should talk about and that we will also be working towards immediately. From the collaboration from our constituents, the goals that emerge that will lead our direction are the following 6 points. First, growing enrollment to students to support our community and meet district's targets. Second, enhance the student experience and clarify student pathways. Third, cultivate a culture of diversity, equity, inclusion, anti-racism, and accessibility. Fourth, strengthen our commitment to students and employees by promoting internal communication and using data to inform decisions and professional development opportunities. Fifth, enhance internal and external partnerships. And sixth, develop sustainable, efficient, and transparent organizational and fiscal practices. When I came in, I developed a plan or thoughts that I had, and my 10-point plan, similar to Dr. Cortez, aligned directly with the board goals, also directly with the strategic goals and the strategic enrollment management plan led by our vice presidents and other critical work from the college constituents. Please see the several areas. I won't go in depth, but I'll share them briefly. Enrollment management, student housing, organizational review process and structure, develop and implement additional non-credit to credit pathways, campus safety, theater renovation, expand internal and external partnerships, strengthen internal communications, develop and implement marketing and branding promotional campaign, and resource allocation model. I heard a clap there. Someone's happy. Over the course of several years, we will tackle these items. However, for this academic year, the 3 areas of focus are enrollment, organizational structure, and rebranding, and those are the areas that have been highlighted. First, I believe you heard for years that enrollment management is our priority. This has been echoed by the very top leadership in our district, and I agree with this philosophy. We know that our why is our students, and our priority is absolutely enrollment management, balancing productivity. And it is up to all of us in our individual efforts and in our collaborative efforts to focus on enrollment management. But we are not only focusing on enrollment management, but a completion by design model. We want to ensure that our students not only enroll, but that they complete their desired outcomes. To that end, I've been intentional and transparent in sharing our enrollment statistics with you on a regular basis in my president's weekly messages. We are fortunate to have multiple methods of reporting from our district. We can measure and track headcount, productivity, and registration figures, and we can look at a pin-in-time comparison that gives us a picture of where we are and where we are going in terms of our enrollment. I will continue to share this information to help us with our short-term focus, but the strategic long-term focus must not only look at the current numbers, but should systematically look at how we improve the enrollment experience for our students so that we remain relevant and in a growth mode. You all started this work last spring when the entire organization participated in the strategic enrollment management planning in the form of task force groups or subcommittees and hours of discussions and collecting input on current practices and best practices, our student onboarding process, and really looking at how we center our students and truly support them as it pertains to our enrollment efforts. You will hear more about how that work and how this specific focus on improving enrollment will inform our way forward soon from Vice Presidents Carter and Fitzgerald. A second focus for our upcoming academic year is our organizational structure. As president, it is my job to be certain that I'm listening to you all when I hear examples of what's working really well in our organization, and also when I hear example of what could be improved or where we can focus in opportunities of growth. A recent example is from our management team, and I want to tell you about a change that is coming as a result. As you already know, I have quickly learned our college is a very unique place. We are decentralized with 7 campuses. Each of these campuses has unique needs, and not just in terms of serving students, but in terms of maintaining a safe space that is a welcoming place for people to work and for students to learn. Much of the responsibility for the maintenance of these campuses has been shared by the resident or campus dean at each site in collaboration with campus operations supervisors. Starting this fall, our additional deans, largely from the Student Services Division, will join their colleagues and instructional deans at 6 of our campuses to enhance safety, student support, and increase collaboration across divisions. Our third focus for this academic year will be the rebranding of our college and how we promote all that we have to offer. As you know, during the pandemic, our organization added the word college to our name to better reflect educational offerings and programs available to adults. Historically, continuing education has faced challenges with consistent branding of who we are and what we do. In addition to the recent name change and the historic challenge, the identity of continuing education has also evolved significantly over the past 15 years, largely as a result of career development and college placement and transition efforts. So this adds up to the fact that it is time to rebrand ourselves and focus on a new way forward so that we can reach existing students, but also attract new students who can benefit from all that our college has to offer. Thank you. Thank you. A new brand will mean updated colors, designs, use of imagery, and developing a mascot, ramping up our communication line and messaging to reach our current audiences, but also attracting new people to our college. I'm happy to share with you all that rebranding our institution and redesigning our website will be a top priority for us this academic year. It's time to hone into our identity and how we want to be perceived by updating the look, the feel, the messaging, and the presentation of San Diego College of Continuing Education to our students and our community. Thank you. Shifting now from the 3 main areas of focus from our academic year, I'd like to share a few additional updates from my office. As part of the changes to this year's planning, I want to recognize that our Professional Development Committee, led by our Acting Flex Coordinator, Mindy Sloan, where are you? Mindy Sloan has been involved in choosing our theme and so much more of the planning than in previous years. This is something else I hope we continue to build and strengthen in the years ahead. The future is bright indeed. So what you see here are, many of you are aware that we have the beautiful shirts that you received in the front, but I also want to thank, and I'm going to thank them again, our marketing team who really helped us to hone in on what we were trying to convey this convocation. Next, many of you are aware that we have created a reopening task force which has been working diligently on collecting information that is helpful to us as a college as we safely open this fall. It has been more than 2 years that we have had to adjust and navigate safe spaces for our students to learn and for all of you to work. When I developed the reopening task force, it was critical that the group had full representation from across our college units and departments, including participants from administrative departments, academic, classified, and student senates, and our campuses. The operationalizing portion of the task force has been tri-led by your vice presidents with full support from my office and from the district's Office of Human Resources. I would like to take a moment to publicly thank the entire Reopening Task Force Committee, as well as Vice Chancellor Smith for the work and expertise that has resulted in a landing page with comprehensive information. So if you were a part of this work, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. So here is the landing page. The district has outlined several protocols for fall, such as booster dose requirements, eligibility, and exemptions, which are included on our new landing page. But the task force considered the unique and specific needs of our college's students, our employees, and our community, and developed a series of Q&A, question and answers, that can also be found here on the page. Okay. Well, it was working yesterday, so I'm going to keep us going. The information is easily separated into employee and student sections, and I encourage you to visit the page and learn more about the resources that are here for you. This page is live now and easily accessible from all of the pages of the website. I will be sending an email this afternoon with the link to the landing page. Special thank you to Richard McGear for supporting with the landing page development. I think you all are going to love this page. The Reopening Task Force will continue to meet and work throughout the upcoming fall and spring semesters as needed. This is another example of how we are strengthening our tapestry by focusing on our communication, community, and our safety. Again, thank you for this work. Another example of the areas of focus for organizational structure and consistency is that we recently developed consistent hours across campuses, and that was not easy to do with 7 campuses. All campuses, 6 that are fully, right? All campuses are committed to serve students Monday and Thursday, 8 to 5 p.m., Tuesday and Wednesdays, 8 to 7 p.m. for extended hours, and Friday, 8 to 2 p.m. I have to say, though, one of our campuses will extend their hours until 7 p.m. daily to support the needs of our Mid-City area. Thank you. All right, Dean Jarrell. Additionally, we have online virtual support throughout the student services teams to help answer questions and schedule appointments for our students. This all adds up to increase access for our students. Again, our why. As we open for the fall semester, we'll be able to serve students and the community during the dedicated hours that you see up here and for students. And I'm grateful again to our deans and our campus operations supervisors and the vice presidents who have been willing to work together with our executive team to come up with the consistent hours for students. This effort has also resulted in extended Saturday hours for some of our campuses, and I'm very proud to say that I know this has increased and will continue to increase access to many of our students. Thank you for your willingness, and we appreciate your support. So the last item I wanted to mention this morning is something that many of you participated in with me. For about 3 weeks, for a 3-week period, I attended a coffee and chat sessions at each San Diego College of Continuing Education campuses. So much fun. This idea was something that started as a way for me to simply see the actual facilities and meet some of the folks working at each campus, but it ended up being so much more meaningful to me. I actually have a quick video that I want to share with you all. Hello from San Diego College of Continuing Education's Mid-City campus. This morning, I've been greeted by the amazing student services professionals at the front counter here, and I'm looking forward to today's coffee and chat session to continue making connections with our faculty, our classified professionals, our students, and our community. I'm also looking forward to the tour of this beautiful campus and to better understand more about the wall murals, the handmade tapestry, and many other creative pieces of art I see here. During the recent coffee and chat sessions that have been scheduled at the various facilities, I've learned so much about the uniqueness of each of the individual campuses, while at the same time understanding the common goal we all keep, which is to provide a welcoming environment that is inclusive and rich with learning opportunities for our students. It was wonderful to hear and see so much about the skilled trades programs, and I was able to meet students in Professor Vasquez's classroom. Plus, I toured with Bob, Mike, and Brad through welding booths. For the first time in my life, I was able to physically stand under a vehicle thanks to Ricardo. What an experience. Brian and Kenny also showed me all of the cool donated cars at ECC, and I learned about the high-tech learning labs at North City campus, where Dean Gray and her team showed me the high school classroom spaces, and of course, the office skills computer labs. When I arrived at CE at Mesa College, I was finally able to see child development space that I've been hearing so much about, and Dean Hester could not have been a more gracious host. I also met Jose, who brings his best each day to support the campus, the students, and the faculty here. There have been so many highlights from these campus meetings that it is not possible for me to review them all here. So please excuse me if I've missed mentioning a colleague, and please know that meeting you all face-to-face has been the absolute highlight for me during the first month as president. I look forward to the upcoming chat sessions and tour at West City campus. When I say it has been a highlight, I mean that these sessions have absolutely been some of the best moments of my presidency to date. To that end, before I go forward, I have to say thank you so much to Chris Radomski for these amazing videos. Chris is fabulous. He even adds B-reels, right? Awesome. To that end, although the initial chat sessions have ended, starting this fall semester on Fridays, I will have dedicated time for you to connect with me directly via Zoom. I will host virtual office hours to meet individually with the college community for those who sign up for the 20-minute slots that will be available. More information will come forward in my President's Weekly Message. I'm looking forward to the rest of the presentations this morning. Now please welcome Dr. Shakira Carter, Vice President of Student Services, and Dr. Michelle Fitchdahl, Vice President of Instruction, who will share the most recent updates about our college's strategic enrollment management plan.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, good morning. What a time to be alive.
Welcome to the fall semester. As you heard from President King, last spring, Vice President of Student Services, Dr. Carter, and I, Vice President of Instructional Services, kicked off San Diego College of Continuing Education's equity-minded strategic enrollment management planning process. Due to the importance of this work, we both decided jointly to present the progress of what we call the SEMP plan, rather than doing individual student and instructional services updates. Now, as leaders in these areas, please know how much we would also like to speak to our individual divisions' accomplishments and updates. However, in the spirit of integration and collaboration, we have chosen to speak to this work that encompasses the entirety of our SDCCE community. With every enrollment management convening, we intentionally began with an acknowledgement of the space that we, as humans, are in. So today, we acknowledge the events of the last 3 years, the dedication of all SDCCE employees. We acknowledge that we have all worked under the strain of family obligations, health issues, trauma, and we recognize, again, we are all human. And so we celebrate not the resilience of doing this work in spite of everything, but of how we have come together as a collective in community to support one another, to develop and improve working and educational environment for our community. That will continue to change lives and impact even more as we remove barriers to success. And as we heard from John Broma, to love. Through this process, we didn't just talk about the concerns and the barriers our students and we all face, but we allowed ourselves to dream of the ideal and all the possibilities to being a truly liberated institution. So we thank you all for your dedication, passion, and service to community.
We thought it would be important to go back for a moment to reflect on how this work began. At Spring 2022 Institution Day, we asked you all to consider what an educationally liberated SDCCE looks like. Your freedom dreaming led to the development of this word cloud, which reminds us why we're doing this work together. Both Dr. Fishdahl and I see something new every time we look at this, but the words at the center of the cloud truly reflect who we are becoming as an institution: welcoming, equitable, supportive, and safe. Our future is bright because we've identified and committed to the right things to continue to strengthen our tapestry while enhancing our commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, anti-racism, and accessibility. Our institutional equity-minded strategic enrollment management plan is the roadmap that will guide us into the future.
We also wanted to share just how much institutional involvement and collaboration we have had in this equity-minded process of developing the equity-minded Strategic Enrollment Management Plan. 101 of you contributed in the institution-wide convenings, and this does not count all of the task force convenings. There were 476 Mentimeter activity answers. This is where folks got to respond to a prompt anonymously. There were 280 Padlet entries, many of which were used in developing this SEMP plan. Again, this does not include all the many additional convenings that took place in the task force, which is each of the areas of the plan. These are just the full institutional contributions. There were 756 contributions at Spring Institution Day alone. Just in spring, there were 9 inclusive, cross-functional, equity-minded redesign convenings. Everyone, please give yourselves a round of applause.
As we began this work, we developed an ecosystem of engagement to ensure that the work itself is driven and co-created by the folks who are impacted most by it. This intentional model of inclusion looks at who and how we engage key partners to inform this work. You all are at the center of this model as students, faculty, administrators, and classified professionals. This is a grassroots effort that begins and ends with you at the center. The next level of engagement focuses on our district office, sister colleges, and board of trustees. We invited our sister colleges and district partners to co-create this work with us in intentional ways. Members of the District Educational Services team are represented on several task forces and have been instrumental in helping us to move this work forward. The Board of Trustees reaffirmed their commitment to supporting CE in its enrollment management planning efforts during our 2022 campus board presentation, and we're working closely with our sister colleges to build and strengthen non-credit to credit pathways through our non-credit to credit alignment initiative. Shout out to Dean Jacqueline Hester, who's leading the effort in this for SDCCE. The final layer looks at how we might engage people in our community, employers, and our partner organizations. We recognize that we need all of these folks at the table informed and ready to contribute to what's being reimagined. Thank you to all SDCE community who participated in this work so far. I would be remiss if I did not recognize and thank Stacy Teeters and Simone McDaniels, our regional guided pathways coordinators who have been so helpful in leading us and guiding us through this process. Stacy and Simone, please stand and be recognized. We've made a point to engage various groups in the development of this initiative over time. If you take a look at our timeline, you will see that we covered a lot of ground, and mostly all of this occurred during the spring semester. The key toward the bottom of the slide shows all of the groups that were engaged: students, faculty, classified professionals, administrators, district and sister colleges, the board, and our community partners.
Some celebration. When we started the equity-minded strategic enrollment management process, Dr. Carter and I said this work would be different than what came before. We are so glad we took this intentional route because through this process, you have generated over 50 equity-minded redesign ideas. We said we would listen and, when possible, facilitate quick changes to current processes and approaches along the way. Some examples which are certainly a cause for celebration are SDCCE's Exploration Days. A great round of applause for the leader of this work, Dean Maureen Rubalcaba. And to all deans, faculty, and classified professionals that came out to each and every campus to support and welcome our community members. Thank you, everyone. Also, the development of online and on-demand orientation is in progress with the intention to create greater accessibility and consistency of communication about SDCCE's services, programs, and processes to enrollment. And our continued focus on new programs and curricular pathways with a development process using new models. For example, business faculty Aaron Iflin and Matthew Rivaldi did extensive analysis from a local business, demographic, and curricular perspective in developing the new sales management program. You can applaud that too, please. And that's just one example, and we hope to share many throughout the year.
Now let's talk about some of the redesign solutions that are being presented. There were over 50 solutions submitted from 5 focus areas: student onboarding, outreach and marketing, student-centered scheduling, program development and innovation, and student transitions. This slide shows the variety of solutions that were brought forth through the committee work. These equity-minded solutions spanned it from addressing how students experience information on our website, to how they enroll, how we schedule classes to meet the needs of our community, to how we help students transition successfully to the credit colleges and into the workforce. Now that you've seen some of the redesign solutions, we'd like to share with you the principles and frameworks that are informing this work. This is our framework for action. So, we are now working to operationalize these community-generated redesign ideas, but we're making sure that they are student-centered, equity-focused, scaled, collaborative, intentional, and data-informed. These principles truly guided this work and became a way to focus us as an institution as we seek to move and change our culture. We also wanted our redesign approach to celebrate the unique strengths of our community, this community, what we bring and what our students bring. The diverse culture and community that makes CE special. So much of our work at each one of our campuses can be tied to Tara Yoso's Community Cultural Wealth Framework. She defined community cultural wealth as an array of knowledge, skills, abilities, and contexts possessed and used by communities of color to survive and resist racism and other forms of oppression. Our path forward celebrates and welcomes who our students are and places responsibility on our institution to recognize and cultivate the unique cultural wealth that they bring with them to CE. With this framework, we design by asking ourselves, how are we removing barriers? How are we helping students to hope, honoring linguistic diversity and accessibility? How are we standing in solidarity, connecting students with peers and considering their networks and their families in our work? This kind of approach improves the student experience inside and outside of the classroom, and we can talk about a few examples of what that looks like. Community-driven redesign ideas that center the human experience in our institution and honor the people who trust us with their educational and aspirational goals by enrolling at CE. And I have to say, my esteemed faculty member, Dr. Frank Harris, I hope you're very proud of us that we included some of these frameworks in our redesign efforts. So let's take a look at how we are prioritizing this work, since as you can see, we have so many redesign efforts that have come forward. So we prioritized our work by looking at both impact and effort. You can see a quick win is a high impact and low effort. And those long and medium-term projects are high impact and also high effort. This is the equity-minded strategic enrollment management plan. Therefore, we're looking at the human and equity impacts as well as the timeline and resources. So let's look at what's to come. Brand development and website, student onboarding, and instructional pathway development. As Dr. King mentioned earlier, one of our focus areas this academic year is to reinvigorate our college brand through a comprehensive rebranding to include the selection of SDCCE colors, a mascot, an official college tagline, and a full website redesign. Behind us, you can see some of our new banners. The second set will be here soon, representing all 13 SDCCE programs. We are excited to welcome on board a new information officer who will lead us in this effort in consultation with our college community. Student onboarding. Thanks to the hard work of Task Force 1, the Student Onboarding Task Force, we've collaborated with the District Educational Services to develop a new student-centered enrollment process that will streamline enrollment throughout all CE programs while honoring the unique enrollment requirements of the various programs. The new enrollment process aims to decrease the amount of time required for a student to enroll while providing clear and comprehensive instructions so that students can understand the full process. With this new, come on, give it up. With this new student-centered enrollment process, students will be able to enroll in 4 simple steps. Our goal is to create a process so clear and so simple that a student can enroll anytime, anywhere, with anyone. A core component of this new enrollment process is the transition to an online, on-demand student orientation. Our counseling team, in collaboration with our student services and instructional departments, have been hard at work developing a comprehensive online orientation that is available 24/7 in multiple languages and that offers a seamless transition to counselors. This fall, we'll be testing the prototype, making final decisions regarding the application platform, and developing a comprehensive training and marketing plan so that staff are ready to support students and so that students are aware of this transition. Our goal is to pilot the enrollment process in spring and fully implement by summer 2023 enrollment. In order to fully support students both in person and online, all student services departments will be transitioning to Cranium Cafe during the fall semester. By spring 2023, we will have full virtual and in-person student services via Cranium Cafe. Additionally, we'll be expanding our outreach team to enhance onboarding support and increase our college's presence in the community. Key to this effort will be the adding of a director of outreach to the staffing structure for the outreach department, who will be responsible for developing and implementing a strategic outreach plan to support the enrollment goals of the college.
And instructional pathway development. Before I talk about the pathway development, I just wanted to recognize the members of the curriculum committee for San Diego College of Continuing Education who are very explicitly focusing on diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and anti-racism through all of their work that we're bringing through the institution from a curricular perspective. Thank you to everyone involved. We have talked for some time about creating new career pathways and increasing our program offerings in alignment with labor market data, meaning teaching the skills and competencies in which the large percentage of San Diego employers are seeking, and with livable wages. San Diego College of Continuing Education will therefore continue to seek to increase program offerings in alignment with labor market data. We also need to continue to focus on enrollment, as we heard, and outcomes. As a reminder, it is becoming increasingly difficult to maintain and improve our programs without all of our categorical funding, our strong workforce funding, Perkins, WIOA, CAPE, because it's without these, we wouldn't be able to continue the improvement. However, we also know that there are expected outcomes, specifically and explicitly for career education programming. It's no longer enough to have completers. Student success is defined as obtaining work and increasing wages. And we've been doing a really good job of it here at San Diego Continuing Education. According to Career Technical Education Outcomes Survey, faculty have increasingly become more aware and have responded to the needs of the SDCCE's community, and it shows in the success of our students. Thank you, faculty. Our work-based learning coordinators, Richard Weinroth and Deb Roth, have been supporting the infrastructure to increase work-based learning support in classrooms and partnerships with our business advisory groups, along with the support in the classrooms. It is our hope that work-based learning opportunities continue to expand in the classroom, and students are able to recognize and speak about their classroom experiences in relationship to work expectations when they're on job interviews. And we look forward to even more collaboration with the College and Career Transitions Department in this work. We are intentionally looking at how English language and basic skills can help support our students' success, along with DSP and Emeritus programs supporting lifelong learning for all of our community members, because we are growing and evolving in all of our programming here at San Diego College of Continuing Education. Part of enrollment growth and program innovation is ensuring we have the space to hold our classes. This year, we will begin a space utilization study to address how we can most effectively use all of our SDCCE's classrooms.
Throughout this fall, there'll be opportunities to engage in how to operationalize this work. It may come in the form of committee work through participatory governance, work groups, task force, or department work.
And one way for you to get engaged is through the mission survey. In alignment with our data-informed decision-making, there is a mission survey being sent out institution-wide that will help us prepare for accreditation and be in compliance with ACS WASC. The mission survey will enable us to collect feedback from SDCE stakeholders to determine if there should be revisions to our institutional mission, vision, core values, philosophy, and institutional learning outcome statements. If you are listening remotely, please scan the QR code on the screen and complete this survey after our morning presentations. And if you are in person, visit the research booth outside where the amazing pre-team will be available to help. To SDCCE's faculty, classified professionals, and administrators, we thank you all for your passion and commitment to our communities.
We look forward to continuing this work together with you.
The dedication of this SDCE family of ours is like no other, and together we will create tremendous possibilities for our students in our community. Thank you. Now, please welcome Jackie Sabanos, our wonderful Vice President of Administrative Services, to provide updates from the Office of Administrative Services.
Good morning. Welcome to the fall semester. I'm so happy to see all of you here today, and it's just been wonderful catching up with you in the hallways over the past couple weeks. I'm going to start out by reviewing the major sources of funding for San Diego College of Continuing Education for the 2022 and 2023 fiscal year. As you can see from the slide, our general fund unrestricted budget is $33 million, and that represents a $1.5 million increase from last year. The general fund unrestricted budget is the main source of revenue and finances all the general operations for San Diego College of Continuing Education, including instructional, administration, student services, and maintenance and operations. Employee salaries make up 97% of the general fund unrestricted budget. Our allocation from the California Adult Education Program increased slightly and now is at nearly $4 million. We use this allocation to strengthen programming for our adult learners in our region. Specifically, this funding is designated to serve students who are working towards a high school diploma or equivalency, learning English as a second language, engaged in career technical education, or taking courses designed for adults with disabilities. You may have heard the phrase, more and better when it comes to the Strong Workforce Program. That's because this funding has been allocated by the state to increase and improve career technical education. Specifically, Strong Workforce funding aims to improve a student's social mobility and increase the number of middle skill workers. Our allocation this year is nearly $1.3 million. Strong workforce funding may be used for innovative student success initiatives, expanding career pathways, engaging workforce data outcomes, and building out CTE programming. SDCCE has demonstrated proven results in this area with more students completing programs, transferring to college, obtaining employment, or improving earnings. Student Success and Support Programs, or SSSP, Student Equity, and the Basic Skills Initiative have been combined, and now they are called the Student Equity and Achievement Program, or SEAP. These funds provide us with $3.3 million to ensure that all students complete their classes, persist to the next academic term, achieve their educational objectives through the student direct components of admissions, orientation, assessment and testing, counseling, and student follow-up. We're still waiting to find out what our Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, or WIOA, funding is this year, so you'll see that amount just carried over from the previous year. We also have $1.2 million in physical plant and instructional support, or PPIS, funding this year. This funding allows for non-recurring repair and maintenance of facilities to correct and avoid health and safety hazards and maintain an environment conducive to teaching and learning. Most importantly, this funding assists us with our ever-growing need for instructional equipment and technology. Lastly, we have $2.5 million remaining in higher education emergency funding this year, which assists us with the impacts that the COVID-19 pandemic has had. This funding will be used to increase faculty and student supports, expand technology for students and employees, and provide support to reopen our campuses safely. As you can see from the table, our total budget is $49 million. The decrease in funding is due to the end of the one-time HERF funds related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Overall, the budget for 2022 and 2023 looks positive and will be able to meet our operational needs. Now I'd like to go over some of the facilities updates we've been working on. As you may be aware, SDCCE recently received a $35 million grant to renovate the ECC Theater. Renovations will include updated entries and foyer areas, plus a new control room. We will also have a better seating arrangement, new sound and lighting controls, updated video projection equipment, and modern acoustic panels. We've engaged HGA, yes, yay. Thank you. We've engaged HGA to develop renderings and plans, and they've been hard at work over the past summer, meeting with our internal and external stakeholders. We'll be expecting a plan in October, and we'll bring that around and get everyone's feedback and input. In preparation of expanded on-campus operations, administrative services remains focused on the health and safety of all faculty, classified professionals, administrators, and community members and students who come onto our campuses. All district HVAC systems have been upgraded to meet MERV 13 compliance as recommended by the CDC. We also have substantial supplies of personal protective equipment, or PPE, on hand at all campuses. So if you are in need of masks, sanitizing wipes, hand sanitizer, please let your campus operations supervisor know, and we will get that to your classroom. Over the past year, we've been working with IT to troubleshoot some connectivity issues faced at our ECC and our West City campus. We just completed a network infrastructure upgrade, which will allow for increased network traffic in a remote learning environment. Lastly, we're in the final phase of upgrading our wireless coverage at all of our campuses. The purchase order has been issued, and we currently have a vendor out who will start installing cabling at all of our campuses. Once the cabling is installed, we'll be able to add the access points, and we'll expand Wi-Fi coverage at all of our campuses. So you'll be able to use your laptops anywhere. Let's have a round of applause for that. That's a dream come true. So we are also, I wanted to let everyone know that with her funds, we were able to purchase upgraded technology for our students and employees. And we're currently working with IT to deploy all the new technology. We have lots of laptops and new workstations for our employees. So that will be something to look forward to. Please remember that this Friday at 4 o'clock, our Wi-Fi password will change to, you guessed it, CE Fall 2022. All lowercase letters. Finally, we'll also be working with a consultant to evaluate our space and to conduct a staffing survey. It's important to our students that we have adequate resources to serve them in the areas they need them most. This project will be completed in the next couple months. Now, as we do each semester, I would like to introduce the new employees of San Diego College of Continuing Education, the most important part of our organization, the people that make up our community. So please stand as your name is read so that you can be recognized. We have 4 new administrators, including our new president, Dr. Tina M. King. She started her role in July, and we look forward to seeing how her leadership will make our organization a better place for our students and employees. We also welcome Roberta Kraus, our new Dean of Counseling. And Michelle Madrid Novak in her new role as the Dean of Student Affairs. And Libier Beckett as our new Director of Admissions and Records. We have 6 new classified professionals. Miguel Galindo, who is our new Administrative Assistant 3 at our ECC campus. Jose Hueso, who is an Administrative Assistant 4 in the Department of Child Development and Emeritus. Welcome back. Sonia Lopez, who is an Administrative Assistant 3 at our West City campus. Sabrina Molina, who is an Administrative Assistant 3 at our Mid-City campus. And Julia Sanchez, who is an Administrative Assistant 3 at our North City campus. Welcome. We have 4 new faculty members. Nicole Austria, who is our new Hospitality Culinary Arts Contract Instructor. Esteban Alvarado, who is our new Emeritus Contract Instructor. And Linda Bautista and Kelly Metz Matthews, who are both ESL Contract Instructors. Finally, I would like to welcome our 6 new foundation employees. Aurora Alvarez is our Apprenticeship Readiness Program Coordinator. Christopher Williams, who works in Cal Jobs Compliance with our Gateway Program. Andres Marquez Alvarez, who is our Adult Mentor in our Gateway Program. Delina Moreno, who is the Business Services Representative in our Gateway Program. And Maria Anton, who is the new Administrative Assistant in our Foundation. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of our new employees and let them know how happy we are that you've joined us. Now I would like to highlight the changes that occurred as a result of the district's annual window period for position reclassification and range reallocation review, which occurs annually in January. This year, as a result of this process, 2 accounting technicians were reclassified to senior accounting technicians. 2 program activity managers were reclassified to associate deans. Additionally, a reorganization was initiated and completed by our interim president, Faulkner Boger, that resulted in 5 senior office manager positions becoming college operations supervisors. Our Student Services Supervisor 1 position became a Student Services Supervisor 2 position, and our Outreach Coordinator position became a Dean of Student Affairs position. And at this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Lori Koski, the Executive Director of the SDCCE Foundation.
And I'm handing the clicker to my lovely assistant, president of our foundation, Neil Kovrig. Hello, leaders, colleagues, and friends. How wonderful to be together again, as they say, up close and personal. Over the last 4 years, I have had the opportunity to know and appreciate so many of you. I am inspired every day by our commitment to our students and their successes. Our purposes animate your efforts to secure funds for programs that support your evolving visions for student and institutional success. Your foundation works to be responsive, vibrant, nimble, relevant, and innovative so that we can continue to fulfill our mission and vision. Board members, please stand up. I can see you out there. The San Diego College of Continuing Education Foundation exists to... Move on. Okay, thank you. He may not be able to be the president for another 10 years.
I'm already bad at this job. I'm sorry.
You're the best. Okay, we could read it out loud actually together. The San Diego College of Continuing Education Foundation exists to support SDCCE in championing equity by fostering innovation, raising funds for scholarships, eliminating barriers to student success, and positively impacting the community at large. The SDCCE Foundation strives to provide all students with the tools and resources to reach their full potential by implementing equitable programs that address economic insecurities and promote progressive, systemic social change. We take this charge seriously and try to be of service to you, our students, and our community. I'm happy to report to you that once again we have grown, not quite as big as Chancellor Cortez has described, but if you take out that $35 million that did go to the district for safekeeping, for the first time we have raised in 1 year, we spent in 1 year, raised more than that for multi-year, but spent in 1 year more than $2.5 million. And we are, thank you. These include grants and contracts and donations and scholarships, and we are actually poised to grow once again this year as our Gateway to College and Career and other pathway programs are expanding even as we speak. The foundation sponsors several important programs at SDCCE, and I want to remind you just about some of them. We are in the 7th year of our Gateway to College and Career programs. Gateway has branched out, and it includes WIOA Youth, funded Gateway for immigrant refugees and ELL learners. You met our staff just a moment ago. And we are adding City of San Diego funded Gateway for transition-age foster youth, William Rosen Trust funded Gateway for African American youth. Our Pathways program, funded through Lucky Duck and Dana Foundation, support homeless students who are pursuing certificates, jobs, and housing. Our digital literacy program in the last fiscal year gave out more than 650 computers, Wi-Fi hotspots, you try saying that, and Wi-Fi service for 6 months to those students, as well as digital literacy training to more than 1,000 students. We have just graduated our 6th cohort of the Apprenticeship Readiness Program, and in a few moments, Chris will be sitting right here as one of our panelists. Let me just pause here and tell you that our deans are awesome. You know that. All of the foundation-funded programs are managed, supervised, improved, and truly sweated out by our tenacious deans, particularly Dean Stephanie Lewis and Maureen Rubalcaba. Up, 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 up. If you don't stand up, this is just going to be longer, so quick, up. Woo! Thank you, hermanas, collaborators, colleagues, and leaders. I have to show you just 2 photos of our first apprenticeship readiness program's graduation in June of 2021. Yeah, that's the sad one. And the graduation that we had of our 5th cohort in June of 2022. What a difference a year makes. We have built a community of stakeholders from the private and public sectors that come to celebrate our students' accomplishments and help them get great jobs within the registered apprenticeships in the construction trades. We have also learned so much with our STAR Pathway students, Karen and Tasha, this year, and others, as they have generously and graciously opened their hearts to us by telling us their stories, their insights, their wisdoms, many times with our CE community. I must spend a moment sharing with you the accomplishments of our contract education program, ETI, under the leadership of the inexhaustible, tenacious, and always positive Karen Lieber. Woo! Karen, will you stand, please? Whoa, Karen. We have grown. We continue to teach courses at the Brigg Miramar and Pendleton to inmates who are soon to be released and sent back to their communities with employable skills, including welding, HVAC, plumbing, small business essentials, culinary, and textile classes. A year ago, we added upskilling classes for the Naval Special War Combat Battalion, Construction Battalion members as they are about to leave on a tour of duty. The 2nd cohort will be graduating just next week. And we have just graduated a 3rd cohort of the Utility Line Arborist Training Program. Now stay with me for just a moment. More than 2 years ago, we began partnering with Butte College on the program training arborists. This program was funded there by PG&E in Northern California through lawsuit settlement funds, in other words, mandatory, from fires over the last several years. We knew that this funding would end, and Karen and I wanted to be sure that we could continue this really important wildfire mitigation program. To make a long story short, remember it's 2 years, we built on our already established relationships with SDG&E. After months and months of working together, they committed to sponsoring 6 cohorts of the arborist training over 3 years by providing over $1,200,000 in funding. You can see the check presentation at the bottom of the slide. With wildfires so much a part of our lives in California, this certificate program for wildfire mitigation opens doors to high-wage, high-demand careers for our students. Thank you. It does. Just a very few words about the Historic Preservation Committee to let you know that our elders and community members are still meeting bi-monthly or more, often at ECC. You are welcome to join us. In August, we met with the architects for our theater project, HGA. We were thrilled when President Robert Matthews' wife, Ardell, and his son, teacher Brian, joined us for that meeting. Members of the Historic Preservation Committee, if you're here, will you rise? Do we see you? Joe, Roma? Who's waving in the back? Elise, our author, our culture bearer. So happy to see you here. Now this brings me to a thrilling announcement. Hold on to your seats. President King is excited to host the next Coretta Scott King Gospel Brunch in spring of 2022. A date is coming soon. If you didn't get to the last Coretta Scott King Gospel Brunch on March 7th, 2020, yep, the very week that we shut down, remember Chancellor Carlos? You will surely want to come to this one. It couldn't have been more festive, more fun, and a more important reminder that our ECC campus is the seat of the civil rights movement here in San Diego. While we remember the golden age of ECC, with Dr. King's arrival, we are ushering in what Chancellor Cortez calls the Platinum Age. Dr. Carter, oh yeah, that's good, that's worth it. Dr. Carter, raise your hand and wave. You rock. Together with your team and committee, you produced the most glorious scholarship event here in our theater, and we at the foundation are so grateful to work beside you to provide tens of thousands of dollars in scholarships and awards, almost $70,000 this year. About 10% of those scholarships come from the Employee Giving Campaign through voluntary paycheck deductions monthly. If you contribute monthly, will you please stand so that we can thank you? Woo! Now, aren't the rest of you jealous? Don't you want to be standing too? It is easy as pie, and we're coming around with cards this afternoon that look like this, and you can sign up for $2, $5, $10, even $100 a month coming out. I know, we're laughing, but that's a big contribution, right, for us especially, coming out of your paycheck to support entirely student scholarships. No money goes to anything else. We don't keep any overhead. It's just you supporting our students. And also, if you would like to, you can start a scholarship in somebody or something's name that's meaningful to you. For $250, only $250 contribution, you can give a scholarship in the name of your mother, your father, your dog, anybody that your cat, sorry, didn't want to be exclusive in that way, anybody that you would like to. And I have to say, Dr. Shakira Carter really upped the ante because she wrote such a beautiful and very short story about her mother. We were all completely touched, and the rest of us should be doing the same. And what a joy it is to hear your loved one's name. When my father's name gets called by Neil, and I always make sure he pronounces it correctly, and it just means so much to me, and to see the students coming and getting the scholarships that my family donates to here just means everything. Try it. It's $250. We do a lot of other things for $250. Make a scholarship this year. And now that you have been pitched royally, and I hope that you want to contribute just to our students through scholarships, I would like to just change the tone of this for just a moment from these presentations to an incredible spoken word by Viet Mai. Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
A lot of people ask me, hey Viet, what do you do? And I used to tell them, well, I teach math. But since that doesn't quite sum it all up, I also add that I don't just teach math, I teach problem solving, effect and what's causing it, logic, probability, like what are the chances that blacks and Latins get educated? Probably doesn't stand a chance to getting incarcerated, stats. But not accurate. I took one class and that was it. Optimization broken down into 3 courses, 101A, B, and C, like the efficiency of education, medication, and world peace. Geometry and measurement. Figuring out what shapes and sizes fit in our domain and range of how high you can go up the y-axis and how low you will go before you hit the negatives. Algebra. Well, what the heck is X and why is Dad over there? What's missing? What are you trying to find? Well, I'm just trying to get paid, but there's not enough information given these days because inequalities obviously only go one way. So are you less than or equals to? Are you making money or linearly, an hour's work for an hour's wage, or exponentially? Because I just put another K in my 401k. So I say functions are just like parties. The more you put into one, the more you get out of it. But the inverse can also be true. You just got to know the right formula. But don't heat it up too hot or you might burn the baby's tongue off. You see, how does a mother go to school and work at the age of 16? A squared plus B squared equals? But to undo why she's scared, you gotta find that root canal is split into two unequal parts, but no health insurance is gonna make that problem kind of hard. Stuff like fractions, decimals, percents are tricky because the more oppressed people you have as a denominator is actually worth less of a whole, especially if the numerator is kept low. So move the decimal point over to the right if you got more, and to the left if you got less. Got it? ¿Cómo se dice decimal point en español? Wait, what'd you call me? Oh. Punto. Mueve el punto de derechas si tienes más y de izquierdas si tienes menos. ¿Entiendes, Mendes? You see, fractions are just like division problems, and being divided doesn't produce anything because it's a quotient, not a product. But quota says ADA needs to be at least at a minimum rate, but the rate of raising gas prices, it's nice to stay home with no fuel for the ride, right? Snack time. Right before nap time. All right, I'm lying. I only work with kids from kindergarten to college. I mean, students. But no kidding, I do counting, the calculus, college bound, and just getting off the ground. You see, I don't just teach math. I'm Mr. Viet. I teach problem solving. Oh, wait, I'm not done. Wow. I got a couple more poems. Is that all right? So check this out. Yeah, I used to teach math, and what we're doing here is problem solving. So, you know, I full-heartedly believe that we definitely need to strive for more inclusive education system and society. So this piece is kind of a reflection of where a lot of us kind of experience through our educational process, and hopefully we're going to do some changes. So this is kind of a personal piece, and it's called Fallen Leaves. My grandma died, and I don't even know how to cry about it. I was too busy working, too busy playing Halloween. I was just trying to create a future that I forgot about losing my past. My bloodlines feel so thin at times, it's no wonder I get anemic. My roots are only as deep as San Diego suburbs. I was just a cub when I learned how to separate the den. I then learned that family was anyone who fed me or let me sleep on their couch. The only thing I knew about my grandmother was she was a gambler. How bad? I have no idea. What was her hustle? No clue. Well, was she nice? Was she funny? Did she tell stories? What kind of stories did she have? How does she... I don't know. But I know there should be at least like a mini lesson in social studies class that says something about ethnic ceremonies and customs, how to properly honor our past. And science should teach something about family trees that look more like bushes and fallen leaves that aren't sure which branch they come from. You see, I never enjoyed history because I could never really connect to it. I learned more about wars than I did about tradition. I learned that foreign languages are only required to get into universities. 2 years minimum, 4 is a plus. So I pretended to have cooties when partnering up with a new Vietnamese girl that didn't speak any English. I didn't understand why the Vietnamese boy called me a disgrace. Shit, I was getting straight A's and stars on the green card. So I learned that I was good at math, and I learned that everything has a solution. So through math, I figured that death is just a part of life, but I never understood why division was so difficult and why subtraction was so confusing. How could you just take away when I never had enough to begin with? I couldn't just borrow. That was as foreign to me as my knowledge of family history, and I was taught that history wasn't as important. Only 2 years required in the A through G. I learned that history is why I have 4 half-brothers. I learned that art was only an elective, and I didn't have to express myself if I didn't want to. I could just get the credit. You see, I don't waste time with feelings or emotions. Don't put food on the table, or roof over your head, or clothes on your their back. I learned that crying was only allowed for injuries, cuts, broken bones, bruises, feather dusters, wooden spoons. I learned about 911, stop, drop, and roll, duck and cover, and wait for the teacher's directions. But there were no drills that taught me how to deal with tragedy. I never learned what to do when mom breaks down. There was no manual for pushing the wrong buttons, no instructions on what to do about loss. I was just told to find it whenever something was missing. And I'm looking, but I can't find it because I don't even know what it is, so I'm sorry, Grandma. No one taught me how to find it. But whatever it is, I'm afraid it's gone. I'm gonna close out with one piece that I feel like is so necessary for us to understand and us to put out in the world, because the world needs a lot more love. So I'm gonna end it on this love poem, and I'll be out here. Yo, I believe that we were meant to be together. But something tells me that the dream of us just might be difficult to manifest into destiny. You see, it's hard to believe in dreams when reality soaks in and it's raining on parades that march in the face of captive audiences. They applaud the idea of us, but the thought of us slips their minds as we pass between lines of doubt and cynicism, and the skepticism is contagious, because I too am plagued with sketchy images of caricatured fallacies. So am I falling for a false hope of a United States of a marriage-type relationship? Perhaps my visions of happy matrimony are distorted from bearing witness to adulterated behavior. But regardless of the random rumors that surround us every day, I still can't help but feel that your mass appeal was meant for me. And maybe my jealous tendencies are playing make-believe and tricked me into thinking I'm just another fallen soldier with a wounded heart and scars that mark a lifetime of verbal battles. So I'm trying to figure out about past disputes and grow with our differences. And I know it's difficult. But when you tell me that you love me, I want to believe you. Even though I got tainted thoughts of you only playing mainstream and catering to foreign policies that never bothered to see what you mean to me. So I want to believe that you love me the way love was meant to be. Unconditional. Without restrictions or limitations and boundless or barriers to distract us from being us. So I want to reinvest in the possibility of us. I went about it all wrong at first when I bought a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath in an affluent neighborhood just so I could fit in with your desires. I give a portion of my wages to your well-being each paycheck, but each day gets more demanding, and honestly, I can't stand seeing your financial hardship while I own your history of impulsive expenses spent on credit. And I wish I could rescue you from a recession with bailout funds, but I bought a Toyota instead. Because at $2 to $4.50 a gallon, your economy falling, somehow I knew I'd be driving the extra mile just to keep up with you. So I want to stop flattering with false feelings of infatuation and believe in love again, instead of inaccurate accusations of getting it again. You see, I want to provide stimulus packages to your heart so our souls can stand on rebuilt infrastructure left over from a corrupt foundation, but I need you to support me whenever I get weak, in sickness and in health, even when I'm not covered with Kaiser from full-time benefits. So how about we resuscitate this relationship and be each other's life support? How about we strengthen our hearts and exercise more on our First Amendment rather than our right to remain silent? You see, I'm trying to mend our wrongs and write them into the Declaration of Us so we could proudly pledge allegiance under a God who knows the truth of how we came to be. So let me protect your honor. All I ask is that you don't treat me like a foreigner or a criminal or illegal. I just need you to accept me for my entire identity as I have accepted yours, because I believe in us. Despite my insecurities, in spite of other opinions, and regardless of our far from flawless past. So let's disregard what's past and perfect our future. There's hope for us. We believe in the dream. I love you, America. So love me. Love me now. That's my time. Thank you so much.
Y'all give it up for Viet Mai. How are y'all feeling out there? Is this not the most phenomenal convocation that we've been to? We have more surprises to come. Please help me in welcoming to the stage to facilitate our student panel, the amazing Mr. Tavares Franklin.
Thank you, Shakira. She's got on velvet right now. That's plum velvet. Looking good. So, welcome everyone to Convocation. After a roller coaster couple of years, it's beautiful to see everyone in person, to witness the beauty and the uniqueness of the fabric that CE has to offer. People from all backgrounds coming together to showcase different journeys and redefine success in their own words. I know firsthand, being the outreach coordinator for San Diego College of Continuing Education, that's the name, the magic that happens here when we invest in the vision each student has for themselves. Sometimes that vision can be cloudy. Sometimes it can be limited because the challenges that our students face, the trauma that they endure, and the barriers that they must overcome to do the seemingly impossible. But I see it every day because individuals just like you, and an institution just like CE, afforded me the opportunity to be successful. When I stepped foot at City College, I had one goal, and that was to be successful. I didn't have an example, didn't have a blueprint, but I was relentless. That's something that I got from my mom. So when you look at me, you cannot tell that I'm the first in my family to go to college, to graduate. You cannot tell that I am less than 1% of former foster youth to obtain a bachelor's degree. But this institution wrapped their arms, their minds, their hearts, along with programs and services, just like they've done for our student panel, to help them achieve the seemingly impossible. Much of my success in my journey I attribute to people just like you that helped me and provided me with resources, reminded me who I was, what I was capable of, and helped me to further that vision of my dream. So I stand before you, a proud Black man, a Black masterpiece. In my pursuit of greatness. So it is fitting that the theme of today is Our Future is Bright. I am honored to hold the spotlight on some of our shining stars to discuss their educational experiences and how CE has impacted their lives in so many ways. I'm delighted to welcome our remarkable panel. Without further ado, let's get to know our panel. So Sarah, I see you took that first seat, huh?
They made me.
All right. All right. So tell us your name, which I already said it, why you decided to attend the College of Continuing Education, what program or programs were you enrolled in, and what field are you in now?
Okay. Hi, I'm Sarah McKee, and I just finished the welding program. Thank you. Yeah, I was, looking at this question and thinking about kind of my journey of learning about CE. I got one of the little pamphlets that had the programs in it when I first moved to San Diego in 2017. And I was like, ooh, a welding course. I want to do that. And I signed up to be on the little email list. And every time it came up, I couldn't do it. I was busy, I was working, it just didn't fit with my schedule. And then COVID happened. And all of a sudden I could do it. They were still offering the program. And so even though the first 4 months was online, doing book learning and learning about math for welders and print reading, we stuck it out and got to be the first group back on campus to learn welding. And I'm so grateful that I stuck it out and had learned about this program. And yeah, I work in a fabricator shop right now, so I do some welding, some woodwork, and yeah, that's my story.
Hi, my name is Tracy Harriet. I'm the founder of ClickBits. I'm so overwhelmed with how amazing the teachers were through my entrepreneurial journey. I took the fashion construction program and a couple other programs, some of the entrepreneurial type courses over at the clothing and textiles courses. I really have been impacted by CE so much because I was able to take the skills and directly apply them to my business. And exciting news is that I have taught over 200 young people between the ages of 8 and 16 how to sew this summer.
Whoa, what? Thank you, thank you. And the plug for the business too. I like that. I like that.
I consider myself a maker, so I'm also really excited because at the West City campus, they got a whole bunch of new equipment and 3D printers, and I was not only able to apply my skills, but learn with other people and continue my maker journey.
Great, great. Thank you, thank you. And Christian. And then you're next.
All right, so my name is Christian Michael McKinney Carter. I am 23. I am a proud transgender black man. I live for it. Gotta get used to saying it. I do. It's a little seedling of aspiration that led me here, but the easiest way that I can say it is my girlfriend got an email of our flyer for our apprentice readiness program, and I actually had to think about why she sent me this. And I was like, what has happened over the past 2 years? We were talking about COVID. I've worked for AMC for the past 5 years, and I had slowly started to rebuild my childhood home. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And when she looked at the Apprentice Readiness Program flyer, she saw carpenters. And I was like, she's like, that's already what you're doing. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. I have a full-time job right now, and this is like a week away from this apprentice readiness program to start, and I'm like, I'm gonna jump on this opportunity that you guys have for us, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys for making it possible. Of course, I appreciate it. And throughout this apprentice readiness program, I started to fully dedicate myself and be like, hey, this is what you want to do in life. This is what you want to apply to be able to not only help yourself, but also others in life. So where I'm at right now, still at AMC, I don't want to say unfortunately because I do love the job, but this program has taught me like, hey, there's a career out there for you that you knew about but you did not know about. And this readiness program has truly showed me that I can have a career in life. And so what I'm getting to is that AMC, I transitioned into the facilities maintenance manager position recently.
Woo woo!
Yes, so I have started to engage in more of life safety and actually getting to be with the trades and talking to our vendors, our plumbers, our electricians, our carpenters, whoever we have out, so that I can start pushing myself and getting ready to be that carpenter. And I'm excited and I appreciate being able to be shown the road, the career that I want to start.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Glenn. I took the healthcare careers courses here. So started out doing the certified nursing assistant program, and from there went and did the acute care class, and actually transitioned to City College. I am a City College graduate as well. Did the nursing program there.
Represent, represent.
And I am proud to say that I just this month finished my first year as a registered nurse. And I really feel like the programs here were instrumental to my success and have continued to be so, because having that experience as a nursing assistant and really understanding what that's like, not only did it set me up for success when I started the nursing program, but now in my work, I'm able to collaborate better with my coworkers, understand what's going on better because I went through it. And the diversity that this program has also set me up to understand not just my coworkers better, but the people that I interact with. Because everyone that comes in, they're from the community. They are from this city. And being able to be in such a diverse program has really been instrumental to my practice. It really has.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Laura Chacon. I'm a little bit nervous. And actually
You got this, though. You got this.
Emotional in a way because I'm in front of faculty, professors, and I would like to mention that I am a beginner student. This has actually been my first year. I've only taken a few courses at SDCCE. I'm a single parent, but I do want to say thank you very much to two professors that have encouraged me to move forward, not just with their words, but the way they have taught the courses, especially Ms. Lynn Marlowe, Mr. Lagunas, because during the process, during my intake courses, I'm actually, I had a lot of barriers. And thanks to Pathways, they were able to help me. I had, lack of resources. That's one of the reasons that I didn't go into regular college. I knew that tuition was free, and my goal was to obtain a certificate in office beginning skills. But now I'm enrolled in business accounting, and I want to go ahead and be able to accomplish and move forward with my education because I've got 3 kids to look at.
Yeah.
I know, I just want to say that, where there's a will, there is a way, because as a single mom, I don't have a stable place, but yet I was able to manage. That's why Mr. Laguna had a lot of motivation. I was motivated in his class because that class gave me the confidence, the enthusiasm, the power. It empowered me that I was completing the courses even though I had so much on my plate. And I didn't have a table to do the practice course or a chair or anything. And I had to wait at night to be able to complete the courses and wait until my kids were asleep. But I want to say thank you for having this type of programs, Pathways, SDCC, for having adult education for us, free, for some of us, have many obstacles. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you. That's the first question. You're already doing great. All right, Rhea, it's your turn.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rhea Sims. I just graduated from a culinary art program. First of all, I want to say thank you so very much for everyone, for all my chef. I call my teacher, my professor is a chef, for all the dean and everybody that been supporting me for the whole learning program. I actually knowing SDCC from long time ago. My husband is San Diegan. He born and raised here. He even long time ago already went to the SDCCE. And then I actually start going to the class is actually for the citizenship class in Mesa College. And I also went to the English second language at the Mid-City campus. So I went everywhere. The reason being is just because I knew San Diego, the school, have this program that's very good, and for me, and in general, education is always important, regardless how old you are. It's always important for me. And now I'm having my own restaurant. The program is actually allow me to create one of the San Diego successful first time in San Diego history home backyard restaurant. And thank you. And I'm fully booked from last year to this year and this year to next year. But yet again, without all the help, I even get last month, Allura and Chris, they come and do the YouTube video for my restaurant, and I even told over there, I'm so blessed and I'm very grateful that I start my career path in culinary art program, because without them, I probably not be here right now. So thank you so much.
I'm thrilled to hear about the incredible support you all received at CE, provided to help you to all overcome your barriers. With that in mind, we continue to be an institution that strives to continue to learn and understand student needs. Do you have any recommendations for how this institution can be better to support student needs? I'll start with you, Sarah.
We actually talked about this a little bit in my course in welding. It's 6 different courses, and so I was in the program for 2 years. We started with a cohort of 29 students. We'd lose some people, we'd get new people on different courses, and just kind of discussing how we could get more people to stick it out through the entire program. And I know one of the biggest things that encouraged me and some of my classmates to finish was the fact that we worked so hard to kind of create our own little community and keep each other accountable. I could see all the work that Brad and Bob, our instructors, put in at the beginning to learn how to do things over Zoom and teach over Zoom, and that really encouraged us to also work hard, even though we're learning from a book, when welding is very clearly a in-person activity. And so I definitely feel like the personalization of getting emails from Bob being like, hey, you're usually turning in your homework, but you missed last week's, like, is there anything I can do? And just knowing that I had friends in the class who had my number and be like, hey, we missed you, are you okay? And checking in on each other. That was, there's definitely a lot of that already here in this community, but I feel like it's so easy for people to slip through the cracks, especially in adult education, because everybody has such busy lives. But recognizing the personal element and the idea of this group bonding and keeping each other together was very impactful for me to stick with the program.
Thank you.
So at West City campus, I am also president of ASB. So one of the things that we have been really working on this year is trying to get that community and that feeling of community within our school, within our district, within all of the campuses.
So important.
And so making sure that people know that they can talk to the student body so that we can actually be the voice. So that's like the first thing that I really wanted to stress, so that we can put on events and make everything feel a little bit more, so everyone can feel a little bit more at home. And the second thing is, because I am part of ASB, so people do talk to me, they have requested that there be more lab time, so that we can actually have time to kind of visit with other students in the program and work on maybe at-home projects as well as projects for class together, and more of a community learning, not just sitting in for the lectures.
Yeah, thank you for that.
So I'm going to say a little bit of both of what they just said and then a little bit more. Yes, we rely on each other as resources as we're going through these cohorts, but we also rely on you guys as our faculty and also just in general to support us with scholarships and just everything that you guys can give to us, and we appreciate it every step of the way. Being able to support each other, but also you guys supporting us is important. I'm going to say a lot of names. I'm not sure if you guys know them. They are from different add-ons of our college. I want to say like Zuri, Sandy, Charles, of course our Dean Lewis, Lori, just everyone, John Gosen himself, I'm not sure if he's here today, and everyone else who has worked in the backgrounds to get us to where we are today. It's helpful, it's important, and we appreciate you guys. Throughout my ARP, we were supported. I feel like it was astonishing to see what we got and how much you guys invested into us and our future. Me working at AMC for the past 5 years, it was the only thing that I knew. I hadn't gone to school, so me stepping back into this environment, having you guys like, hey, I have a problem, can you help me? Absolutely, that's easy, I'll take you here, you're good, everything's perfect. I appreciated it. For the first 2 weeks of my apprenticeship program, I was still working full-time and also trying to be a full-time student, which was I found out very fast that it was very hard. I went to school first from 7:30 to 4:30 and then had to go to work from 5 to 1 or 3 a.m. and then go back to school at 7:30 in the morning, which was very hard for me. So I had to make a choice and say like, hey, I'm going to prioritize this ARP, and I know it's something that's going to lead to my future and me have a career in the future. It's something that I want to build on. So I was like, I can't work as much. It's the only thing that I've known how to do, and I can't do it because I'm trying to prioritize myself. So being able to be given, of course, by you guys and whoever else, having that stipend to be able to be like, okay, this is going to make up for the resources that I have to, outside of school, manage. Being able to not be full-time anymore, being barely even part-time, and also still going to school, it was helpful to be able to have you guys pay for our PPE, taking us, well, of course the in-labs. I would love to be here more than just Tuesday. I understand COVID and all the regulations that we have to go through, but being able to be in person more, being able to use the money that is given to us for the resources that we need to carry on through our day-to-day lives, other than just focusing on like, hey, this is gonna be my future. It was very helpful.
So those stipends.
Yes.
Those stipends.
Please
and that money
donate
to help
to our futures. We appreciate it.
to help you while you were invested in your education.
Yes,
Became
absolutely.
essential. Would you say essential?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And I appreciate each and every one of you guys who have and who will dedicate to our futures.
Thank you, Christian.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, that there's so many great things that are already in place that you can kind of sum up with, we just need a little bit more, you know? Like in the CNA program, I remember they had uniforms available for people who couldn't afford scrubs for clinicals. They had watches available for people who needed to have that little second to take, you know, a heart rate. And they had transportation vouchers for people who needed a little extra help with gas or with the trolley. And they're in such high demand, you know. So I wish we had just had a little bit more available of that, because 100% of those resources were used. There wasn't anything left on the table because it was such a need for so many of the students that I was fortunate enough to work with. And I'd say the other thing is just getting the word out there. You know, I was fortunate enough to get hired on right away as a CNA at the exact same facility that we did clinicals at. And as I'm talking to my coworkers, they didn't know that this acute care program existed. And there had been people working at this skilled nursing facility that didn't realize they could go to this acute care class and get connected with hospitals in the area and forward their career in that way and grow their career in that way. Just the information wasn't out there. So I am always telling everyone, like, I'm spreading the word as much as I can, but I think that there's an opportunity there to really let people know what's even available to them, because the programs here are so amazing. We just need more, like, because the demand's there.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't agree with the students. Also, I wanted to emphasize, yeah, there is a need of for computers, especially, you know, because during the time that I was taking the course, my computer crashed like 2 or 3 times. Like, I had to come into the office and see if there was one available while waiting for it. Couldn't complete the assignment, had to run around to a public library or anywhere else that would have the resources to use. But sometimes we don't have the time to go to a public library, and by the time you get there and you have to do other things, you know, things that we have to take care of as parents and as students. So if the help is out there, to please, you know, donate at least, you know, more technology, internet, and also for the professors, sometimes, you know, please be a little patient with us. You know, we know we are committed. Once we took the courses, we are, you know, but there's also barriers that we do encounter, you know, running around, the internet not working, being disconnected, or like the computers, you know, not, you know.
So would you say a little bit more patience and grace for you
Yes, yes.
and understanding?
Yes, thank you,
Okay.
yes. And just one word, a little bit of encouragement from you guys, you know, just go back to the elementary school years, maybe, you know, hey, you're doing a good job or nice work. That could motivate us not to leave the courses, or, you know, say, you know, I give up, or maybe we had a bad day that day, but like your word could say, a nice work. And then we say, oh, you know, I could do this.
It helps.
You know, I'm gonna go back and complete. So that's basically it.
Thank you, Lori. And then Rhea, could you give us just one thing before we wrap up the student panel and the recommendation that you have?
So I think it's more likely is about the promoting how to enroll, more information out there, like even, you know, get advertising or something like that. Because, for example, when I have my video up, I post it as well on my social media page for my restaurant. Everybody texts me and actually call me and asking how to enroll that. And, you know, if we can, or the school faculty can make more advertising, then it will be more student that you can
So
reach.
make the enrollment process more user-friendly
like
for...
more information.
Okay.
You know, because like, you gotta imagine that people probably not speaking, like a lot of immigrants, they don't know how to, you know, do it if there's no information whatsoever about it, you know.
Well, thank you, Rhea, and thank you to all of our panelists. You are all shining examples of what happens when we invest in our future, right? So with these words to lead you into the next session, We encourage you to continue to learn, continue to hear, continue to feel, but most importantly, continue to find ways to do more. Find the things that move you to be the beacon of light in the classroom and in the community. Thank you all.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Tavares Franklin, and to our students. They did a phenomenal job. We could have had a guest speaker here, but nothing would have captivated what we just heard. So I feel like I'm a little bit at a disadvantage because I realize that I'm the only thing really standing between you all and lunch. And so I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, so let me just try to wrap this up. But I am truly overwhelmed by the beautiful stories, and after hearing from our students, I cannot be more optimistic about the future. I want to really quickly captivate and say thank you to Mindy Sloan for coordinating a vibrant schedule for Flex events taking place Thursday and Friday, so tomorrow and Friday. Faculty are expected to sign up and register to attend sessions to meet their Flex obligation this semester. The various events are inspirational and include some spectacular presentations, including from our special guest speakers, my colleagues and friends who will be joining us for the following sessions. Kim Desmond, Chief of Race and Equity for the City of San Diego, will present Serving Communities as an Equity Warrior on Thursday at 1 p.m. Dr. J. Luke Wood, Vice President for Student Affairs and Campus Diversity, who also serves as the Chief Diversity Officer at San Diego State University, will present Race Lighting on Friday at 9 a.m. Dr. Marissa Vasquez, Assistant Professor of Post-Secondary Educational Leadership, and she also is the Associate Director of the Community College Equity and Assessment Lab, will be presenting Serving Men of Color in Community Colleges on Friday at 1 p.m. These are all remote sessions and have been extended and opened up to our colleagues within the district who will be able to join us solely through remote operations. Now, there are dozens of people who made today possible. I really would like to say, you all have commented, many folks have commented on the stage, and I cannot thank the folks enough who have really played a huge part in making sure that you all feel so excited and welcome to start the new year. I want to thank Dee Dee, Radula, Desiree, LaToya Knowles, who's in the back, Catherine Napoleon, who was here stuffing flowers all morning with other folks, also supporting with all of the other logistics to make certain our program this morning was running smoothly. I also want to thank I just feel like he needs to come out on this stage, but I have to say thank you to Anthony Vargas. I gotta tell you all, Anthony has been here in the mornings with me, in the late evenings. He has really just been the glue, and I'm so appreciative to him. Rocio Lopez, Raul, you all didn't see, but he made a cool little stand. Raul Avalo. The entire facilities team who prepared the space this morning internally, but also externally. You all can see that we have new flowers so that our students could feel celebrated from the ground up. And that was Carlos and Nick who have been here all week doing that. I want to say thank you to Tim Saylor and Dimitri, Sam, and the entire IT team who coordinated the digital program and audio visuals so that we could have our event in this historic theater. Thank you to those in instruction services and other areas who supported as well. Ginger Davis, Kiana Radula, Patty Lopez, and everyone else who has had a hand in today's convocation. Thank you to Luisa, who is here, Luisa Davila. And you're gonna see her out there taking photos if she hasn't already taken a couple photos of you. Chris Radomski, again, Rich McGear, and the entire team in the information office for the development of the design elements for our theme, for the t-shirts, the presentations, and printed materials. Thank you to Neil Kovrick, Dr. Shakir Carter, Vice President Jack. Our Vice Presidents, Dr. Shakir Carter, Vice President Jacqueline Sabanos, Dr. Michelle Fitchell, and Dr. Lori Koski. I want to thank you all for your inspirational section of our Convocation Day, and thank you, there's one, John Broma. Is John still here? I saw him. John, there you are, there you are. Thank you. I want to say thank you all so much for gracing the stage with your inspirational speeches. And again, to the Executive President's Cabinet. And I'm not just thanking them for coming up here and speaking to you all, but they work extremely hard. And I'm so proud of our Executive President's Cabinet. And I have to say, the last 8 weeks has been a busy 8 weeks. But I appreciate you all for making today happen and for all the work you do for our college. A very special thank you to these individuals. So when the pandemic happened, let me back up a little bit. As I've been going through these coffee and chats, I've learned a lot about different individuals and a core group of folks who are just, they're amazing, and they truly should be uplifted and acknowledged today. These folks, some of them were new when the pandemic happened, and they quickly thrusted and made sure that they helped convert classes online, help with scheduling, holding down the facilities, making sure that our faculty, our employees had everything they needed. I have to say a special thank you to our deans for all of their hard work. I'm going to ask that you please stand when I say your name because you have to be acknowledged today. Andre Lucas, Cassandra Story, Jacqueline Hester, Jan Gerald, Jessica Lidke, Katie Serbian, Lori Crosby Howe, Maureen Rubicaba, Michelle Gray, Michelle Madrid Novak, one of our newest deans, Roberta Cross, and Stephanie Lewis. You all are incredible. Thank you. And last, I want to say again, thank you to our incredible students for sharing their experiences with us, and to Tavares Franklin for being an amazing facilitator, and he's also one of our employees, and you could hear his passion, so we're so fortunate. I want to say thank you to the excellent and talented performers who made our morning more memorable by connecting us with your beautiful words and song, and thank you to our community friends and partners. I want to say special thank you to Leah Goodwin, who was instrumental in helping us source such talent, especially talent from Southeast San Diego. Again, I'm so enthusiastic about this academic year and for everything that it holds. I want to say thank you to all of our classified professionals, and thank you to all of our faculty members who are here. Thank you to all of our SPA employees, and thank you for all that you all do. And last but not least, I want to say thank you to our esteemed Chancellor for all that you're doing to lead our district at the helm. Thank you to the board members who were here earlier, both Board of Trustees President Maria Nieto Sr. and Hazel Arroyo for spending time with us. And I also want to say thank you to my colleagues on Chancellor's Cabinet, Jack Beresford, for your support. Thank you to the VIPs, the special folks who joined us and accepted the invite to be here. I don't have time, but since I wasn't able to sing for you all, I had a poem for you, but I'm going to move right past that. I want to leave you all really quickly and share that please don't forget that we want to continue to assess how well we're doing for Convocation. We're asking that you please fill out the satisfaction survey that will stay on the screen after our next performer who's going to end us. And it will be so kindly if you fill this out. I want to thank Jesus Rivas for creating this survey for us. And last but not least, we're going to turn it back to our last and final performer. We have a special piece, folklorico dance performance by Nadia Arambula. But if you need to move up in the out parameters to head up towards lunch, we understand. But thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed this year's Convocation.